guys, check it out. Check it out. Guess what job I just got?
I don't know, but Donald Trump wants his blue blazer black. What? Blue blazer back. He wants it back.
But you said black. Why would he want his blue blazer black?
Well, you know what I meant.
No, you messed it up. You're stupid.
Okay, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Two Guys a Girl and the Tea. And it's been a while. It's been a while because I have been away working on the docuseries that of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, which you can also find on the channel. But now that we are back, it was only right to do this show on the 7th episode because sometimes I like numbers, sometimes I like the idea behind how I don't know how to put it. How fitting it is, because when this show was birthed, I wanted it to have at least something that describes us. And by us, I mean my beautiful co-host that goes by a name of Given and Meryl. Meryl is a massive Friends fan. Many people don't know this. I'm not a massive Friends fan. I did like Chandler when I was watching him. I remember me and my brother used to even argue. He used to call me Ross. He used to say I was Ross. I was like, what the, that little.
Yeah, you give Ross vibes.
I do not. No,
yes,
let's not do this.
Yes, you do.
Let's not do.
Yes, you do.
But like it was actually called Two Guys a Girl and a podcast before, but the T came about. I didn't even know. I think you.
It's because the name was already taken. We found out.
Yeah. Like but so we had to think of something. But I kid you not, when I was thinking of this, I don't know why, but I just thought Given likes tea. So
Hey, I like tea too. Do you see this?
Not gonna lie.
This is all the tea. All the tea.
I didn't even know, but like
it's also 3 rows deep, So when people come over and they're like, "Oh, I'd like a cup of tea," I'm like, "Okay, which tea do you want to have?" And they say, "Well, which tea do you have?" And I'm like, "Just say which tea you want to have. That'll be way quicker."
Well, it seems like you inspired the show more than I imagined, because the title.
Also, cheers.
No,
I have a cup of tea right here.
The titling of the show is an homage to obviously Friends. I don't like Friends, but I know you did. And I assume that Given likes. I don't even know. Do you like? Are you a fan?
I'm a average fan.
Yeah,
I watched a couple episodes here and there.
Well,
but never really
Friends agnostic.
Deep into it. I was more of a How I Met Your Mother fan. That was my jam.
Yeah, same.
Oh, How I Met Your Mother is so much worse.
How is
so much better? So much.
What?
The characters are so much more legendary.
No, okay, wait. Let me qualify that statement. Let me qualify that statement for a moment. The way I look at it in terms of quality in this particular context is just whether on societal issues it does harm or not. By the way, I have a new chair that's kind of creaky. So
disconnect like for 5 seconds.
On society issues, you said. No, what?
No, but that's 2 different things, because whether it's enjoyable or fun is something different from whether it's good.
But fun things are dangerous.
Because I watched it, I enjoyed watching it.
But fun things are dangerous.
True.
Not everything that's fun is dangerous.
True.
I mean,
Sometimes.
I play bowling. Look, something as innocent as bowling, right? You put your hands into it. Sometimes it can be too stiff, and you throw it, and it hurts your fingers.
Okay, when's the last time you've been attacked by a chess piece? Like
but my brain hurts. So there. I'm at
Yes,
the-
let's
my brain hurts.
just continue. Okay. Anyway,
Anyway,
like me talking about how I Met Your Mother is worse than Friends is going to be an entire episode and a half. So let's just not get into it.
No,
Like
no,
I'll fight you for it, but not on this episode.
yeah.
Anyway, to get back to Friends.
Yeah. So like I said, the way that we title the episodes, as always, like there is a part of this show that is at least for, that does reflect Friends in a unique way, and I was quite shocked to actually hear that he passed. I didn't know much about his personal life. I hate to admit it. I actually didn't know much. So
Well, neither did I, to be honest.
you didn't?
No, because I don't resent that you introduced me as a massive Friends fan, because like for all intents and purposes, I
You got a
could be
keychain.
qualified as such. But what?
You got a keychain.
A keychain?
Yeah.
What?
A
No,
Friends keychain.
No, I have a trivia game.
Oh, trivia game. Oh, my bad. Oh.
No, my ex-boyfriend, then still boyfriend, actually gifted this for my birthday once.
All right.
And we had to amend the rules to make sure that he had a chance at even scoring some points. Because the thing is, when I was still studying in Amsterdam, I had two screens just like I do now. So if I'm looking over here, there's one screen and there's the other. But I always had like Friends running on repeat on one screen, just to have some background noise. I wasn't like sitting and watching it. I was like doing other stuff in the meantime, sometimes even my homework. And I must have seen it like dozens of times, because whenever I got to the end, I just restarted again. But that was 10 years ago. So these days I'm kind of rusty on the whole. Like as soon as I see stuff, like it comes flooding back. I'm not an active fan anymore, as in I haven't seen it for years.
All right. So,
but I used to be. I would whoop anyone's fucking ass on this. I swear, like absolutely. We had to amend the rules so that I could only get 3 in a row, and then I'd have to give the turn back to him, and he could do however much he wanted. And if if I had one wrong, then he had a chance to also guess it, so that he had an extra chance to get the right answer. And then at the end, it was still like this difference in how many cards we'd won. But that was also like 4 years ago or something. I'm a bit rusty these days, but it'll always be a very close show to my heart. Always be very near and dear to my heart. They helped me through a lot of dark times, shall we say.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Given is a bigger fan here than you. I didn't even realize.
No, I didn't.
That's
To be honest, I
a
didn't
trivia
watch it
game.
much. I probably didn't watch it as much as she did, to be honest.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I was more like, I didn't do like when I watched the episodes, I watched them like full-heartedly. I actually paid attention.
Yeah, I did that at first, but then I'd seen them often enough that I could just
Remember,
I'd know them by heart. Like I'd know the episodes from front to back, so I didn't need to pay attention anymore.
See, that's fair. But with How I Met Your
Yeah.
Mother, I watched all the time, paying attention all the time, because it's that good of a show.
Hey,
I don't have the attention. I have too much ADHD for that. Like usually when I'm watching a show, I'm also gaming next to it, because otherwise I just can't. I just lose focus. It's terrible. I need more meds.
Ladybug's Gem says, "Hey guys, when I was pregnant for 9 months, I watched every episode of Friends season 1 to 10. It helped me so much because I was alone a lot.
It helps, right? It's nice. It's like they're friends.
To be quite fair, I mean, I wasn't pregnant, evidently, but
you weren't.
I was.
Shocker.
I wasn't. I was hoping to change the biological processes of, that we have. But when I was not well,
you're spiritually pregnant.
I was spiritually pregnant. Let's go with that. When I was not well, I actually I watched it on repeat. So that's why I was very equipped to counter you when I made that post about Friends not needing to have a diverse cast back then because it was actually fine looking into how white people socialize with each other. To
Yeah,
me,
I mean, it was the 90s after all.
yeah, no. I mean, to me, that was interesting because we like you can watch black shows to see how we interact. I was like, it was
That's
really
true.
interesting.
Boondocks.
Yeah,
Hey.
you know what I mean, like Boondocks,
Yeah.
having kids, and Fresh Prince.
Yeah, there's plenty of shows that have like almost exclusively, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is majority black,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
What are you laughing at?
I don't know. I don't know. It was the delivery. It was the delivery. I don't know
Wait,
why.
what?
Did I do an accidental racism? Do I need to
No,
apologize? Do I need to express my white guilt
It was
and prostrate?
no. It was the hand. It was the hand that was like it was managing. But I'm like, that's why it's funny. Also, I was like, wait a minute, like, yeah, duh. But like, but I know you didn't mean it like that. I know you didn't mean.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But
No,
like,
but then it makes sense because in real life people also tend to cluster together a bit. Like there's definitely some intermingling, but it's not like every place you go is 50-50. That's just not.
yeah.
No.
And also there were plenty of people of color in Friends in later seasons when these things became more of a when there was just more awareness, you know?
Yeah. But
Like Ross even dated a black lady at one point.
oh yeah.
Aisha Tyler, I think.
I forgot. I know the name of the actor, but it's Lana from Archer. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Like I know I forgot her name live. Anyway, but point is like let me go back to actually introducing this because I did a poor job actually introducing this. We're going to on today's show we're not just going to talk about Friends because I mean that was a good starting point. We know why we're here. Matthew Perry, of course, unfortunately passed away. I don't believe it was drugs. I mean, they didn't find drugs in his premises or anything like that. Based on what I read, I don't know. I
don't think it was like drugs at that time, but doing drugs for so long can just weaken your cardiovascular system. It just make it easier to accidentally, have heart failure, like all that kind of stuff. It really screws with your system.
Yeah.
I don't think it was foul play. I don't think it was suicide. I don't think it was drugs. I think it was probably just he happened to, I don't know, fall unconscious due to all the strain on his body, and because he was in a jacuzzi, it didn't recover. Maybe if it happened on a bed, he would have been fine and he would have woken up after a while. But if you're underwater, you tend to have some difficulty breathing. Generally.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't even know that was possible. To be honest,
What, that you can't breathe underwater?
No, I mean, yeah.
Oh, you know that. Sorry.
No, I mean,
I'm tired. My humor
is,
doesn't get better if I'm tired.
Unless your name is Urfa, then it's different. If you have the power to summon fishes, you don't get my Aquaman references. What?
No, I haven't watched Aquaman.
What the hell? Oh gosh. Anyway.
I am an Aquarius though.
Oh, that don't count.
So nothing. There's that.
That don't count for nothing. That means nothing, man. I don't know why.
No.
I don't know why you guys believe in that star sign stuff. But anyway, it's not the show.
No, I was just making a joke. I didn't say I believe in it.
Did you wait? You don't believe?
Like I was being ironic, dude.
Okay, fine.
Never mind. Let's just zip back. Anyway.
But yeah.
You didn't know that was possible. You were saying.
I actually didn't. I mean, well, I know
you didn't know what was possible specifically.
Oh, doing a life of drugs and alcohol and all those things, but then it comes back to actually hit you. I didn't think.
Oh, that's very easy.
No, it keeps hitting you, and then it just weakens you over time.
Yeah, it's just like, because eventually when we get old, some part of our system is going to just give up. Like it could be our heart, it can be our lungs, it could be our kidneys, whatever. But when you're doing drugs all the time, then that time gets significantly shortened. So he might have died of something that would have otherwise killed a person at 80 or something. Because you're basically like speed running life. Like you're basically putting your body through the strain that it would normally take over a much longer period of time. It's like if you have a mechanical component that's supposed to go a certain number of years, being used 2 hours a day. If you then use it 20 hours a day, then obviously it's going to wear out like 10 times faster, right? That's basically it in a nutshell. Especially cardiovascular, like if your artery walls are weakened, like I know all these terms in Dutch, this is so confusing. But like if those walls get weakened, then you can have an aneurysm and embolism more easily. Your heart will just be, your heart muscles can weaken, or you can get a thickening of the heart muscle in a way that you have less volume in your heart, and then maybe that like there's neural damage, there's liver damage, there's kidney damage, there's so much going on. And from what I've heard, his situation was particularly excessive, shall we say. I read that at one point he was on like he had like 55 Vicodin in a day, which is not really good for your system.
See, that's the thing, like, because that's the thing, because again, because I was so in the dark with all this, my friends have literally been, like filling me in, like I didn't even know that he was getting he was like in the later seasons, like I think it was season 5 to 8 or something like that, around that time he was going to rehab after filming and stuff. That's, to me, I did, like, I'm watching it and now I'm seeing, oh, okay, cool, we can see the weight loss and all that, but I didn't think that was
because it was there were 2 seasons between which it was like especially noticeable, the difference in weight, and he just looked ill.
I just want to say hello to Yelly Bean. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving us your time. The most important part is that you are here. Do the YouTube things. Don't forget to like and share this with all your friends. We are also now monetized, so if you want to send a super chat or super sticker or whatever, that would be great. That would be amazing. We got the best modder as well, Ladybug Gem, on the modding duties. But I just want to go back to this because I saw this. I saw this on my Instagram actually. I was scrolling through one day, and someone shared a clip from the full video of a debate that I'm now looking. I'm like, this is wild. Everything that I was hearing. So I'm gonna play the clip so that you can, and then we'll discuss it, because I can't believe this was actually allowed to air. But it's the BBC, by the way. This is the BBC. I mean, I know it was 9 years ago, but this is the BBC. So I'm very surprised. I don't know. Maybe I'm coming from a time where things were a bit more controlled, and I don't know, things maybe censored down a little bit, but I can't believe this was allowed. But anyway, I'm just gonna play it.
You can deal with this as a health problem instead of waiting till people become really severe addicts, get into the criminal justice system, and then I agree with you. Drug courts can be a little more helpful.
I'm not understanding your point. Your point is to stop drugs and alcoholism by just people never starting?
Well, you two believe in this fantasy of addiction in which people lose
fantasy of addiction.
A complete fantasy in which people lose all power over themselves and become victims of this terrible, frightening disease.
But right now you're quoting.
Let me finish. This is what you believe. This terrible, frightening disease after which they cannot stop taking drugs. If you really believe that, then you would presumably think the best thing would be that they never ever came in contact with those drugs.
Of course.
Wouldn't it therefore be wise to deter them from doing so by a stern and effective criminal justice system which actually persuaded them it was unwise to take the drugs in the first place?
When do I get to speak? I'm dying to speak.
If you really believe in it, you'd agree with
When
me.
can I speak?
Speak.
Okay,
I
so
didn't come here to be quiet.
neither did I.
No,
I
so
didn't come here to listen to ludicrous things like that either. So
Well, you tell me why it's ludicrous if you're so clever.
I will. I
doesn't
will.
work,
The
that's
American Medical Association diagnosed it a disease in 1976. So you're saying that that's incorrect?
Yeah, look, people.
Are you saying that that's
the medical
incorrect?
profession is constantly doing extraordinary things. The American Psychiatric Association said for years that homosexuality
Peter,
was a
the
disease.
key thing is
they were wrong. All kinds of things
Peter,
are said by medical
the
professionals.
key thing is
turn
we've
out to be
had
not
this
true.
policy
What's
for
the objective
50,
evidence?
50 years. We've had this policy
My life.
of
My life is the
of
objective
treating
evidence.
addiction.
This is the thing
Wow.
out here. Like,
Wow,
This
wow,
makes
wow,
me
wow,
so
wow.
upset, like unreasonably
Wow.
upset.
Why?
Because what that other guy is, that Peter Hitchens?
yeah, that's him. Yeah.
He's an idiot. Sorry. Like it's just dumb. I'm sorry. This is just.
Now you see why.
Did decades of the war on drugs teach people nothing?
Now do you see why I was surprised I actually aired? I actually can't believe yet. Like.
Oh no, I've heard worse debates than that on the BBC.
Escapism is a
think
hell of
so?
a drug.
Huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like recently, there's been a lot, like even on like Piers Morgan, like trans debates and stuff that have been really spicy. So
Yeah.
and like especially with the Israel Hamas stuff, which we're not getting into, but there's been a lot of spicy debate on the BBC about that as well. Like it's been happening for a while, you know.
Yeah, but
Ooh.
but the main like what that guy showed me, or at least represented to me, is I don't know why, but I feel like the guy actually represents a lot of people in society. I don't know
Who are
why.
wrong? Yes, he represents a lot of people who are wrong. Yes.
No. I mean, a lot of people. Like, I actually think people actually don't actually know because because saying fantasy of addiction, some people actually like. No, I wouldn't. Can I say most people? They would actually think that it's you are getting high all the time, so therefore it's something you can control. It's something that you can actually choose to just stop. But
that is not how it works. That's not how human life works.
And this is the thing: addiction comes in all forms and facets in people's lives. Like people may not be addicted to hardcore drugs, but there's a lot of things people are addicted to. Some people are addicted to going to the gym. Some people are addicted to, like for real. Some people
No, but seriously, like you can also be like addicted to porn, or addicted to a certain type of food, or addicted to likes on social media or something. Like
exactly. And that's what we see in this generation. Mostly is the kids nowadays are addicted to social media, spending at least
and food, like obesity.
Craziness.
Yep, but to that level though, like I'm talking.
No, it's obviously less, because a lot of the drugs that people get really badly addicted to have a very high chemical addictive potential that like food doesn't necessarily have. Although there are some scientists who say that like sugar is about as addictive as X or Y, but it's not addictive in the same way that you get like hankerings, that you're like, oh man, I really need a shot. Like it's not like that. It's just that it primes your brain to go looking for it and to be enticed by it.
You get
to be
cravings
motivated
for it,
more to
but
get
not to the
it.
extent
Yeah.
where it harms you physically.
Right.
No, because the thing itself is like less harmful. Like doing a shot of heroin obviously does a lot more harm than eating a sweet, you know?
Yeah.
Like indirect harm, like physically.
Yeah.
But for real, I mean, I think an excellent example to look at is Portugal. I don't have the numbers. I can Google it and pull it up as we go on. But in Portugal, what they did a while ago, I think like 10, 15 years ago, is something really unprecedented in the world. At least as far as I know, there are not a lot of countries that have done that. They stopped treating drug addiction and drug use as a crime, and they started treating it as a disease.
Yeah.
And they decriminalized everything. They had like also like those safe injection spaces and that kind of thing. But most importantly, they stopped looking at it societally and legally as a crime, and started treating it like actually treating it as a disease, and drug addiction just plummeted. Like it absolutely decimated the number of drug addicts. And more interestingly, recently it has indeed been going up again in Portugal, some people might say in response, but that's because they're defunding a lot of the programs that have been working for a while. So yeah, obviously, if you defund the thing that's working, it's going to stop working.
That's actually very interesting, because I think that's what Matthew Perry was trying to say to the guy.
Absolutely, because it is a disease.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say to the guy, and the guy was like, "I think that's the next part."
That guy has like I don't mean a sexual kink. I mean just a non-sexual kink for corrective punishment, which does not corrective. I mean retributive punishment, which does not work. It does not work. Like the war on drugs has been raging in the U.S. for, what was it, 50 years? Was it Nixon, I believe?
Yeah,
and has it worked? Have drug addictions gone down in the U.S.? No. You know what has gone? You know what has gone down? People walking free in the streets and being there for their families because they're all in jail.
Same thing that happened with the alcohol situation in America back in
Prohibition. Like with
Prohibition.
Yeah, Prohibition. Yeah, didn't work. And here in the Netherlands, we have way fewer problems. Like I live in the Netherlands. Hi. I studied in Amsterdam for 5 years. Now, a lot of people might know Amsterdam is quite famous for, well, the red light district, that too, but also for the weed.
A lot of Brits.
Literally, I'm not kidding. Amsterdam has 365 licenses for coffee shops. So you can literally go to a new coffee shop every day of the year.
Oh, nice.
While Groningen, a city in the north that is way smaller, has but still like a pretty large city, has 15, because it's just not a touristy place. On my walk from the metro station to my university building, I passed by like 3 coffee shops and 2 smart shops or something. And the thing is, weed is not a problem. I mean, it's not like nobody in this country has a problem with weed. Like obviously it exists, but the way people, especially in the US, talk about legalizing drugs, you think that once you legalize it, like all hell breaks loose and everyone's just shooting up in the middle of the street and stuff, but it doesn't happen. Furthermore, it's not necessarily legal. It's like semi-legal. Like it's illegal to sell it, but not to own it, or to own it, but not to, like it's confusing. Basically, the government is just like, we'll just pretend that we're not seeing this. But it does mean because it's legal, people don't need to go underground where there's no control, there's no legislation, there's no regulations, there's nothing. The underground world is incredibly unsafe. That's where people, like, especially if you're talking about heroin or coke, they cut up different substances in it. People overdose more easily. There's fewer eyes on the purity and the quality of the stuff. While if you legalize it, you can take a look at all of that. You can keep that all under tabs, and because you cannot stop people from doing drugs. It's just like not the people as a whole. You cannot stop humanity from doing drugs. So if they're going to do it anyway, make sure they're doing it legal so you can actually keep an eye on it. And it's the same with prostitution in this country, by the way. Legalizing prostitution in this country has made it so much more safe for so many women. And there's so much less sex trafficking in countries that have legalized prostitution than in countries that have banned prostitution. Mm-hmm. So criminalizing drugs is just going to make it worse.
Yeah, I thought
it's help. People. It's not like people are like, oh no, I'm not going to do drugs because I don't want to commit a crime. Like, when has that ever deterred anyone?
Yeah, I thought the same as well. But like it's one of the things with drugs. Obviously, it's like there's an unending, especially not unending, but there's levels to the game. Essentially, you have your milder stuff where people can use it and be functional, like cocaine or whatever, and then there's things where people can fall down the spiral, like heroin and meth, and it just gets into the stick. Some people can use meth and be okay, but it's one of them ones.
The chances are significantly lower.
Yeah. It's just one of them ones where you have to be very careful, because if you make things legal, like, it might just inspire people to go to that next level, and eventually you might even still have a market for drugs, but they'll just be the extreme kind for the people who have the crazy tolerances. And how would you then like you have to mitigate that? Because it'll just keep spiraling. You know what I mean? Because there'll always be people want to get the next high, the next better high, because after a while you start to feel samey on certain experiences. So you might need to boost it up. And eventually,
would you rather they did that legally? Would you rather they did that legally, where the government can like
100%.
put regulations on it, or
100%.
illegally, where they don't know where they're getting it from? Like
legally,
you get
100%.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, where does this stop though? Like with the
preferably you catch them somewhere in that process, because there's a very, very fascinating TED talk I watched once. I think it's too long to view on this episode, but I'll try to get the link somewhere, maybe in the description or the comments, which was very enlightening.
I'll put it in.
Great, just remind me. But it was excellent because there was this guy talking about how addiction is actually like a cry for help is a kind of cliche term, but addiction usually, like if you're talking about the majority of cases, it's because they're missing something in their life that the drugs are filling. Like, I'm not talking about those cases where there's just like snooty rich guys who just want to have like a super high or whatever. I'm not talking about those guys, like the actual,
even those guys,
the actual addicts that form the drug addiction problem that we're trying to solve with this discussion. We're not going to solve it in this discussion. But those people usually, like, drug addicts, they've fallen on hard times. They maybe had a divorce or a bad breakup, or they've been the victim of abuse, or they've been trafficked or whatever. Like there's so much stuff that can happen. And if they don't have a community that'll welcome them and help them and support them, then it's easier to turn to drugs because they cannot find that good feeling anywhere else. And what's been shown is that people who have come out of rehab and come out of rehab clean and then went back to an environment where they had a community to take them in, those people didn't turn back to drugs, while the people who got to rehab and then got out of rehab and got back into the same shitty circumstances, they just went back on drugs because that hole wasn't filled. You need to fill that hole with something else. I tell you
this is why I see, especially at my mom's church, there you see a lot of people who were addicted to drugs who come to that church because they get that community where people are supporting them to get better. They get the support they need. They get people looking out for them.
Yeah, we're social animals.
The best for them. So you see that people tend to need to fill that void with something else or something that is of more importance to them than the drugs themselves.
That's also a reason why I'm not in favor of banning religion. Like, I'm not religious myself, and it doesn't matter to me if other people are religious, but I don't like organized religion for many reasons, but I love that part about faith more than organized religion, but just faith, because it builds community of people who have the same faith, and that community can be there for people. It can do wonderful things for so many people. And I think if we just outright ban religion, that a lot of people would be like homeless. And I don't mean like an actual roof over the head, but just like socially homeless. I think that would be a terrible idea.
Fun fact, actually, I was watching this show on Netflix. It was a study into the longest living people on Earth. Centenarians.
The blue zones.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes.
And one of the core components was people having faith in something, having a belief in something.
It doesn't need to be something longer, like a deity or something.
No. Even like the people in Japan, the one in Okinawa they were talking about, they still had shrines. They prayed to their past ancestors, the people who had passed on. So they still believed
usually if it's not gods, then it's ancestors.
Yeah, they still believed in something or trying to achieve a purpose for the greater good of something. So there was a greater purpose than just themselves. That was a play which allowed them to have that longevity. So there is an importance in people believing in something and having
that's also
drive and purpose.
Exactly. You see a lot of people like born again Christians who used to be drug addicts.
Yeah, I mean,
and also Alice Cooper is also a good example, by the way. I have a book right here. I have more props. I have so many props. I have all the props. Anyway, this it's very entertaining.
Oh,
It's called
isn't that
Golf Monster.
Hollywood Vampires?
Yeah, the same guy. I saw them in June actually, and then I had a bit of a kerfuffle, and I had to be taken away on a stretcher, and I was closer to Johnny Depp than the rest of the audience.
Oh yeah, you sent the picture into the group chat, innit? Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was the second time I saw him again in it was at Graspop in Belgium. But anyway, like this is a very like it's kind of like written like a 12-step program, but for something he says very aptly is that he took to golfing, like he has a golf club. Because he plays a lot of golf. Like everywhere he goes, he plays golf. Because what he said was like just taking away the addiction to alcohol wasn't going to work. I had to replace that addiction with another addiction that was not as harmful.
Exactly.
And another very interesting one, whom I also saw this year, by the way, is Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue.
I've heard of that. I've never listened to them, but I've heard of the Motley Crue.
I said heroin.
Yeah, I have Motley Crue's autobiography as well, but this is like his entire diary from the time he was very much addicted to heroin. At one point, he needed 2 adrenaline shots to get back from an out. But it's very insightful how all these people were missing something in their life in the time that they turned to like substances like drugs or alcohol or whatever. And once you get into that spiral too deep, then your body gets so used to using that as your go-to that it becomes harder to reach that community, because then you're just single-mindedly like, no, I have this is enough. Like,
no, and it's true. And it's like, it's one of those things where, like, again, like for those people who were addicted to drugs or are addicted to drugs, I think them having belief in something else in general, whatever that may be, or having faith in something else or whatever, that allows them to, it gives them a certain level of structure, because that's the thing about like religions or whatever. They give you a structure to follow and something you have to do and abide by. You don't have to make up your own systems of morality or feeling.
I don't think it's just that, actually. I think the more important part about it is that there's something greater than you out there. Mm-hmm. And whether that is your faith, your deity or ancestors, or like, even if you're an atheist like myself, some people are like, well, if you don't have faith, then what is there outside of yourself to live for? I'm like, society, like humanity. I can still, I fight very hard for a better world, not because of something supernatural, my ancestors or whatever, but because I care about humanity, and that keeps me alive when I'm in dark places. I'm like, there's stuff I can do to make this world a better place still. So, that also keeps me running. Yeah. What?
So what do you think? Because I've noticed a trend in the people on the cusp of science. They're going into research, looking into consciousness and what that is, what that means, what it is to be conscious. And
we still don't know entirely.
And where this experience comes from, where we are able to analyze, view the universe. Is consciousness a product of a supreme consciousness that allows us to then view the world and allow it to materialize into the way it actually is?
No.
Essentially, no, because of the breakdown of the wave format of light and of electrons, where they have to, when measured, observed, whatever, they have to then break down into a physical position.
You mean the Heisenberg principle?
Not the Heisenberg. No,
like you can of any electron, you can either know where it is or how fast it's going.
No, double slit experiment type stuff.
Oh, right, that one. Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know why there would have to be another consciousness. Like, it could also just be.
No, but this is the thing, because conscious observers is what allows it to formulate into its actual state, whatever that state is. there is a probability of which is a
Yeah.
wave function probability of where it could be or most likely be, but
Yeah.
then when observed, it breaks down into that location, whatever it may be.
Yeah. So
What
how
do you-
does that
wait,
necessitate?
without the observer, the wave function stays just a function of probability and never actually breaks down into a physical point.
Bring it home,
Meaning that
Jordan.
us
Bring
as
it
an
home.
observer, our consciousness observing this thing
Yeah.
allows it to take form into whatever it is, essentially.
Right. I just don't know why that would necessitate another consciousness outside of human consciousness. But that, let's get back on topic.
Yeah,
Like, where does it come
why
from?
did you
That's
go
the
there?
question.
Wait. I got you going there. Why did you? What was the overall arching point of that? Please bring it home. Bring it home.
No,
I think it was just a
overarching point
tangent.
the overarching point was belief in something. Like, in terms of atheists are going into the study of consciousness where it's leading them to, or some of them to believe that there is a greater consciousness or a place where our consciousness comes from that is greater than our physical reality in which we live.
I have not heard that from secular scientists ever.
Well, you're not looking at the people on the cutting edge. You're looking at the people that just in the mainstream who just do the normal stuff that everyone else does.
Oh, if you're gonna play that game, fight me, bro.
What do you mean fight me, bro? Like, what advancements have we made in physics in the past?
Dude, let's not
going back to
let's
this.
just not like this is another episode and 15.
Yeah. Going back to this because it is.
You can tell me all about it at another time.
It is very like well, for one, this was not the way he died is very unfortunate because he survived based on
a first colon, among other things.
Yeah, where the chances of survival was even lower. And
it was like 2%.
He survived that one. So for him to go out like this, I mean, is kind of sad, but at the same time, I mean, in terms of what you guys
resigned to it a bit. Like he seemed resigned to it in a bit. Like he's always kind of been the kind of person to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna die young. Like I know it. Like I'm not gonna get old. Like he was pretty I wouldn't say accepting because I don't know how you can really accept such a thing, but he just
some people accept death.
Except I don't think I think I was thinking of another word, but he always said like I'm not gonna get old, like I'll just die young. With the way he's been abusing his body, he's just like it's not really gonna thank me for it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I was more so going to say that I was more so going to say that in regards to how he was in and out of rehab. Even when he did have something to believe in, because he believed he could help people because of his life,
Yeah, exactly. He was definitely using his experiences to like pretty much prevent others from falling into the same spiral.
Yeah, like I mean, even with all of that, that's the part that really struck me. Maybe this is just really unfortunate on him because. Even with having that and the support system he had, he was still going in and out of rehab, and he was still having the same issues, And I'm trying to figure out.
I think that there's. I think I have some thoughts on that because I haven't done a deep dive into a situation, but like in general. So I don't know if this is necessarily applicable to him. Just in general. In those kinds of cases when people just seem to never be able to get out of rehab or never be able to fully get clean, usually or often it can be like just a genetic disposition to addiction. It can also just be that by that point your system has just been so fried that you just cannot function without it physically anymore. And that has been going on for so long that you just have trouble envisioning your life without it. Like there is just no there's just no life outside of what you think is your life. Like if you've been married for 40 years, it's just very hard to imagine what it's like to be single, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I
mean, he was already an alcoholic at 14.
Yeah. So
he just isn't. He never learned how to live a clean life. So it's very difficult to, at a later age, while you're struggling with so many issues, learn how to do that when you've literally never had the chance to learn how to live that way.
Oh, let me just say hi to to Laura. Thank you for joining us, Laura B. With an actual B. I'm gonna play this next part because I think what he said here, I don't know how to take it, because in a way he explained it, but the guy, again, I'm in conflict with what this guy is saying, because I was huh?
What Hidgens is saying, or what Perry is saying?
Hidgens.
Well, what Hidgens is saying is just dumb. Let's just put it at that. No, I'm kidding. Continue.
No, I'm trying. I'm actually, you know me. I try to make sense of what everyone is saying. The first part,
and you know me. I make jokes at inappropriate times. I watched a lot of Chandler. I know.
Yeah. The first part I didn't get, but this one, in my opinion, it doesn't really help matters. But I'll just play it.
And so, it would be following your ideology that I'm choosing to do that.
Let me go back a bit.
It would be following your have a drink. I can't stop. I'm a drug addict.
Yeah.
I'm a person that if I have a drink, I can't stop. And so, it would be following your ideology that I'm choosing to do that. I'm choosing.
That's exactly not my ideology. It is my belief. Yes, you do choose.
It is, and it's a belief that you wrote in your book. Correct.
You have a choice over whether you drink or not. You have a choice over.
But your book is the only book in modern times that has this ideology. Yeah. So doesn't that teach you something?
Well, quite often unfashionable ideas are unfashionable because they are unpopular with influential people. Doesn't necessarily bother me. You tell me what the objective diagnosis is to establish the existence of addiction in the human body.
It's an allergy of the body, and it's an
allergies of what?
We're supposed to be grown men here, and you're making faces like the guy who's wearing the pants that you were talking about earlier. I'm expecting you to come out in the pants in a minute. It's an obsession of your mind and an allergy of your body. So this is what happens to me. I start thinking about alcohol. I can't stop. I can't stop thinking about it.
And what's the objective physical proof of this inability to stop?
There's considerable proof this is partly a genetic.
I want
to hit that guy with kittens. No, I'm not advocating violence. With kittens.
You can throw a hammer at him, it's okay. But
a blow-up hammer.
Anyway.
Problem isn't it?
I can't. I fucking can't. Yes. Let's continue the torture.
No, it's not willpower.
People constantly stop both drinking and taking drugs.
You're just a person who's talking who's wrong.
If willpower were not involved, then how would that happen?
It's an effort of will on your part not to do it now, isn't it?
I'm in control of the first drink, and so I do all these things to protect myself from not having the first drink.
Sure.
But once I have that drink, the allergy of the body kicks in. This is all documented alcoholism proof. Then I can't stop after that.
Our problem with Peter.
I mean, I'm allergic to aspirin, but it doesn't mean I have to drink.
But you have to look at the evidence, Peter.
That is
what is this allergy? It's
an allergy of your body.
It's just.
Not that your aspirin point wasn't. Not that your aspirin point wasn't genius, but you don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
He doesn't. I haven't actually. I'm
still trying here, but I'm actually still trying to actually be like, where is he coming from? Let me be fair. Like, where is he coming from?
Where Peter Hidgens is coming from is ignorance.
But I mean,
No, but it literally is, because all the evidence, all the scientific data, all the history of research into this topic says exactly what Matthew Perry is saying. Like, there's just no evidence for what Peter Hitchens is advocating for. Because if what Peter Hitchens is saying is true, then why didn't the war on drugs work? Then why did Portugal's approach work? Because if Hitchens is right, then the war on drugs should have worked, but it didn't. And Portugal's approach should have not worked, but it did. Evidence?
I think the evidence is just in the case of that one cares about the people, and the other response is almost like punishing the people. Whereas
it's retributive, like it's not constructive. And just in terms of crime in general, like jail time, well, it's not jail, it's prison. In Dutch, the words are the same. So prison time, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I mean, how many people are actually going to be like, oh, yes, I am going to rob a store, and then, but I don't want to be in jail. Let's not. Like, is that what's stopping you from robbing a store? It's not what's stopping me from robbing a store.
It's the desperation and the need to.
Exactly. At that point, they don't fucking care about.
The need outweighs the consequences.
You know what the only thing actually does? You know what the only thing is that criminalization actually does? It doesn't incentivize people to not do that thing. It incentivizes people to hide it better.
Yeah, true.
It incentivizes people to be like as sneaky as possible to not get caught. Because if you commit a crime and then you don't get caught, then you have no consequences.
Yeah, but that's why there needs to be not even punishment, but there needs to be some type of consequence. And in the case of...
Well, I think there needs to be
could be helpful consequences instead of...
Yeah, because I think that what helped in, I think it's Finland. In Finland, they have these sort of communes for prisoners in rehabilitation to get them like adjusted back into society and actually do stuff that gives them meaning and gives them a purpose in life and helps them build community and that stuff. And those people are way less likely to turn back to crime than people who get holed up in prison for 10 years and then get released and they're just like, see ya, just good luck. You have a cross up in front of your name for the rest of your life. Everyone's gonna look at you funny. Nobody's gonna want to hire you.
Business at the end of the day, it's a business. Capitalism, guys. We have to understand.
Yeah, let's be honest. I'm gonna say it. This is gonna be a hot take, but the U.S. prison system is just modern slavery.
No, but listen. The thing in America is
I'm not wrong.
No, she's actually
indeed. No, it's in the 13th Amendment that slavery shall be prohibited unless as a due punishment for a crime committed.
Hearsay.
No, it's actually not.
I'm joking.
It's literally in the Constitution.
I knew you'd get triggered. I was waiting on that. I knew you'd get triggered. I know. I'm kidding.
Stop it, man.
Breathe.
Okay, continue. What were you gonna say?
Breathe. I was just gonna say that in America, it's actually interesting because it's how the country looks at its citizens is how usually the citizens turn out. Essentially, a lot of countries like here, they care more about the citizens. There is free healthcare. America, it's corporatized. It's the pinnacle of capitalism. It's get it by your bootstraps and by your bootstraps alone. You can't.
Yeah. But do you know what the irony? You know what the irony is about the bootstraps thing? It was originally intended as a cynical comment because you cannot pull yourself up by your bootstraps because you're it's physically impossible. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be a nonsensical thing, and then people were like taking it seriously.
Americans. Anyway, let me read this comment from Laura V. That this happens with people talking without having experience of a thing.
Or delved into it, because I don't have experience with drug addiction, but I've listened to those who do.
I mean, I haven't had experience with it. I mean, I've had my mishaps, if I'm being honest. I mean, but it's nowhere near what this guy has gone through. Absolutely, it's like a minuscule.
Not a lot of people have gone through that. No.
Yeah, like it's nowhere near anything like him. Like But even with just that little understanding, the support that I did have in recovery did actually help me actually be like, yo, maybe I shouldn't actually consider doing this anymore if my body rejects it this badly. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, this is someone that is addicted to something else. And I'm not gonna share on the stream. I don't want to share it on the stream. It's too embarrassing. It's too embarrassing.
Guess what that is.
It's too embarrassing. But like this it's something I've been trying to kick for so long. But
bruh, you just need to willpower it, okay? Willpower.
It's not
pull yourself up by your bootstraps, man.
Willpower.
Just willpower yourself out of it. You can do it if only you want it really badly.
You know what you need to do? What you need to do is you need to get a roommate. You need to get a roommate.
Let's go to the next part because he tried to defend himself. Given, I'm gonna mute you if you keep talking.
No, 2 seconds.
Given, I'm gonna mute. No, stop it. I'm gonna mute you.
Why?
I'm muting you now. Like, look, listen. So he can't talk.
I'm gonna jump in the comments.
So Peter Hitchens 8 days ago, after he's gone on to Talk TV to talk about the whole debate, and I haven't seen this. I actually wanted this part to be fresh, so I want to see how he approaches the subject now. I want to see.
I'll prepare my book for face palming.
Let's see if
I can keep it here,
learn, or if he's gonna double down, or if he's going to.
I do not have high hopes.
Let's see.
There's an interview or a discussion, I suppose, more correctly, that you had with Matthew Perry from Friends back in 2013. I think it was.
It's some long time ago.
Yeah. Was that a Newsnight?
It was Newsnight.
Because it was when Newsnight was still good, right?
Jeremy Paxman, yes.
When Newsnight was still actually a good program.
But when I went along, it was to discuss a rather obscure subject of drug courts. And I thought that Lady Meacher, who was my main opponent, who looks like the sort of housewife who knits next to you on the bus.
Yes.
Was actually a hotshot drug legalization campaigner and quite tough in argument. I thought she was going to be the main problem. And then along comes this guy from Friends. I'd never watched Friends.
Right. Of course you have.
Is it Matthew Chandler or
Perry.
something Bing? I couldn't work out who it was. And he became very animated. Actually, the whole thing became extremely enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was a good rough and tumble did.
Well, as I was saying,
it's been immortalized on YouTube. And
it's
millions of people have watched it, many of whom hate me as a result.
Absolutely. Well, of course, as per usual with the reaction of social media. I mean,
I should say, though, from the beginning of this, Matthew Perry has died, and I bear him no animus. I've never resented this thing. I thought he behaved perfectly reasonably in hitting as hard as he could in a tough argument between two opposing philosophies. I offer my sympathies and condolences to his family and friends, and I think I hope that he rests in peace.
Yeah.
I have nothing against him at all, and I wouldn't have got involved in this in the slightest.
Doesn't sound like
he's all over social media. People tried to.
He's just talking around it
through his death, and I felt I can't not defend myself and leave this untouched, or people will think I have no defence.
But this is another
absolutely no animus against him, nor any desire to use his death for any purpose.
But it's another example, Peter, isn't it, of the kind of ridiculous
mentality
that exists in almost.
See,
that was a nothing burger.
Can you hear me?
I mean, it wasn't a nothing burger because he was kind of like dancing
around
it, and a lot of platitudes like, "Oh yeah, I've got nothing against him, and he behaved perfectly reasonably." And I'm like, okay, but what about the meat of the
debate?
Like, it's not like he has to relitigate the entire debate now, of course. Like, we know, but.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just thinking that it seems like, again,
about that double slit experiment.
No. It just seems like again, he holds a very strong opinion on his. I think he has a philosophy and a paradigm in which he views the world, and that paradigm is one.
He's wrong.
Obviously, he's wrong. Yes, like he's wrong. But in terms of people, you have to pick something that gives you the best chance to succeed. It might not be raw, it might not be right, but if you think it will make you a stronger person, then you might need to pick it. If you think it will make you, or pick a philosophy that allows you to excel the best you can. So if him tricking
At
his
the
mind,
cost of others.
so if him tricking his mind into thinking, see, that's something I don't bear any ill will towards anyone. So if him thinking in
Well, I
his
do, because
mind,
his rhetoric is literally getting people harmed.
and this is why we don't progress as humans. In his mind, yeah, he's viewing it as, again, all we have to do is just vote on it as people, and then whatever the vote is, it is what it is. We all just accept it and move on. We can't then throw our toys out the pram and say, but it's not right. It's like, if the majority votes one way, they vote that way, and we just go with the herd. That's what we should be doing. That's idealistically what.
Oh yeah, how did that Brexit work out for you?
Fine, I'm okay. I have a house. I bought a house.
It's been an economic disaster.
I mean,
I'm still eating. I still have a house.
Let's to be quite fair, I don't think anyone could have predicted COVID. But at the same time,
No, nobody could have predicted COVID.
Yeah,
but
like we knew that there was a high likelihood of a pandemic arising at some point because of how the how the world just works, how many people we've got, how close we live to animals. Like there was a high risk of it happening, but it's not the same as predicting.
When was the last pandemic? 1976 or something like that? Or
Before that we had SARS, we had MERS, we had Ebola, we had the Zika virus, we had the avian flu, we had the Mexican flu, we had
tuberculosis.
Yeah, but
they were.
Those were not pandemics, though.
They were pandemics.
Yeah, because they don't need to have literally every country in the world to be a pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you have
Because the alternative is an epidemic, but epidemic is only within the same.
Like a local situation.
Yeah.
All right.
Like a pandemic is actually like a big epidemic over more countries and stuff.
Right. I'm gonna go back to the video.
A large like Wikipedia just says across a large region.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's
the bar for
very
pandemics.
big.
That's the bar. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the video.
Pandemic is an epidemic that is spread across a large region, for instance, multiple continents or worldwide, affecting substantial number of individuals. Widespread endemic, blah blah. Okay, so it's just a large. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go back to the video because that first part, I wanted to see how he attacked I wanted to see if he would address the topic straight away. He strayed away from it. He has been brought back and
like yoink.
Yeah, yoink, brought back into it. So yeah, let's listen to it.
I'm curious to see how many things he's gonna say to talk around it without actually addressing it, or he's either gonna say that was then, but then not actually renounce his earlier viewpoints. Like a lot of people do that. Like, yeah, but it was like 10 years. I don't know when was the original interview?
9 years ago.
9 years ago. Well, I was gonna say 10, so that's about the same. Like people are gonna be like, oh yeah, but that was 10 years ago, and like you can't hold me to that now. But then they'll continue to like advocate for the exact same position. So I'm like, what does it matter that it was 10 years ago if you believe the same things now? Like,
I mean, like, I mean, thank God for transcripts because that helps a whole lot when
yeah, I saw you scrolling in the behind the scenes. That's excellent. That's very smart.
Thank you, Mama. Mama always said I was a bright young. Anyway, let me speak about this.
Let's get into it.
Given is just saying, what the hell is this guy on about? Anyway, let me press play.
And I don't mind that in an argument. Sometimes I will resort to it myself because it can be fun and it can be educational. But in general, it's a poor way of arguing if you've got any stocks of logic or any stocks of facts to use. But what I was arguing, the reason why the Matthew Perry event went viral and has continued to do so is partly he referred to it in his memoirs, which he published a couple of years ago, and partly because it just became more and more widely circulated. It's a clash between two fundamentally opposed ideas of morality and philosophy. I don't. I disparage the idea of addiction because I believe fundamentally that we have free will. and choice in what we do. This is not an argument which you can
What I
settle.
was saying, you see?
And other people prefer to believe that we don't have choice and free will, and there are actions that are determined by forces we can't control. That is a huge argument.
It is.
Well worth having, and that's what it was.
Right. But is it also not right to say that it may not be one or the other, that it could be somewhere in between? This was a conversation I was having earlier on today, because, you know, there are certain things that you can become physically addicted to, I believe. For example, nicotine is a very addictive substance. It's not to say that you can't stop smoking. Is there not evidence to suggest that there are possibilities that you can become addicted to certain things?
I have written in a magazine, American magazine called First Things, a long article called The Myth of Addiction, which I recommend everybody who wants to go through this. And also I had a clash with somebody who calls himself Citizen Sane on the internet some time ago and persuaded him. The problem with addiction is it's a shapeshifter. The people who use the word sometimes use it to mean a total unbreakable power, which has people utterly in its grip.
Yeah.
And then the same people in different conversations will use the word to mean actually something you can resist. It cannot be both. And the legal system, the medical system increasingly treat people, particularly the users of certain drugs, as if
this is a fallacious argument.
They have no free will, so if they have a disease they can't control. I think that's actually rather insulting to people who do have diseases such as cancer, which they would gladly give up if they were able to do.
Oh, this
I
is
also
just...
think it doesn't help
That's
people
even
who are
worse.
taking the
That is such a weak argument.
No, but he's actually undermining his own point here. He's actually undermining his own point.
Tell us.
Because remember earlier, the lady said to him, there are some addictions that are genetic. You know, there's some addictions that, like, even the guy brought up the point about there being, you know, addicted to nicotine, for example, or even heroin, like where you would need an extra level of, like, you know,
power, resilience.
Yeah, I mean, physical, like the detox is the detox process is really dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just yank it
There's
out.
also a difference, like, between physical dependence and psychological addiction.
Yeah, like
and psychological dependence addiction.
Like, and it's so weird that he brings up cancer, which is something you definitely cannot control. And even though
you can influence.
You can exactly.
Like, if you smoke your whole life, you're going to increase your chances of lung cancer or other cancers, mouth cancer, throat cancer. Like,
wait, hold on. What I want to hear what Sid is going to say. What are you going to say?
No, but
how does he undermine his own
it's a false equivalence. Yes, it's a false equivalence to bring up cancer, but at the same time, he undermines his point, because if you really do have choice, like I'm talking choice, to actually choose to do and have free will, then choosing to take herbal and doing all those things should eradicate cancer, no?
No, what are you talking about, bro?
I don't think he was bringing it up as an equivalence. I think he was bringing it up as a pity play, like calling it disrespectful to say you don't have a choice because people with cancer really don't have a choice. And I'm like, who the fuck cares?
Exactly.
That's not the point.
Yeah,
that was just a weak ass whataboutism, and it was just very. Is it clear that I don't like this guy?
No. I'm saying the cancer here.
No, but
the cancer here would be like the meth or the coke or the heroin.
No.
Well, it's not the way. It's not the reason he brought it up. Like, he brought it up as a pity play whataboutism. But
no, okay. I get.
My point, because that's my point to, like, kind of like try and make sense of what he's saying, because it is objectively true that when you take certain drugs, your body will have its own.
But you can always
I think the important thing to distinguish, by the way, is because he keeps saying, like, you have a choice, you have a choice, you have a choice. Like, you have a choice to do it, the one thing, but people don't choose to get addicted.
Yes,
people choose to do the drug and then they get addicted.
But then there is always, again, it's one of those things where, like, if people can get off it, like, then there is cause to say that, you know, there is a path forward that would allow you to get
theory,
out of that
but
trap.
it might not be open to everyone, because there are also people with cancer who are cured, and then there are people with cancer who die.
100%. So the path,
and that doesn't mean that those that died failed, because, you know, some people die and some people don't die.
But they tried. They did try.
Yeah, they tried, and some people try and they fail, and some people try and they don't fail, and that's just because every cancer is different, every addiction is different. It also depends on the entire support system and your financial means and your healthcare and your community and all that stuff. And if your own life is still a mess and you're not capable of making your life not a mess because you have like addiction, then you're just fucked. Like most people who can get out of addiction usually don't do it on just brute force willpower alone.
Yeah, but I mean, also to
very few people would do it.
Also, I gotta say as well, because it's weird that he keeps saying choice and choice, but
it is like, just objectively a ridiculous argument, because that is not how the human brain works on any level. And as an ADHD, I wanted to say patient, it's not a disease. As someone with ADHD, I can tell you, because like my meds, and this is actually very, very interesting to the point of addiction. What ADHD is at its core, like we don't know entirely, but a lot of it, we know that there's a lack of circulating dopamine in your system. And dopamine is what does, most people say it's the reward thing. It's also the anticipatory system. Like if you see a cake that you really like you start salivating and stuff, and you want to go get it because there's a dopamine spike that puts you into action. If you see a cake that you don't like, maybe it's carrot cake or whatever, like then the dopamine spike isn't high enough and you don't get turned into action. But the thing is, with ADHD, the level is just lower, so you don't get a high enough spike to actually go into action. So that's why we have trouble focusing. But then there are things that give such a spike of dopamine that it's just like our brain is just like, oh my God, this is amazing. We finally have dopamine. This is fantastic. We need to do this like forever. And then you get into a hyper-focused loop and you're searching stuff on Wikipedia for 3 hours. You know, that's where you get into hyper-focus, because it's like a difficulty in regulating that. But with executive dysfunction, I struggle.
Right?
Yeah, because basically I get that comment a lot when I have difficulty, because executive dysfunction is like the bane of my existence. It makes my life so difficult, and people are just like, well, why don't you just choose to do it then? And I'm like, that's not how it works.
No.
Do you think I'm here like suffering from executive dysfunction? I'm just like, oh, all I needed to do was to choose to do it. Gee, I never thought of that before. Thank you. It's like, oh, you have depression. Oh, go do some more fun things. Like, that's not how the brain works. If that had worked, I wouldn't be in this position.
And it's not just that as well. It's not just that. It's also the fact that it's also the fact that comment is kind of
dismissive.
I'm sorry. There is so much evidence to see that there was a choice from Matthew to actually get off the thing. He was. Like he made a choice to go to rehab. He made a choice to go to all these means to help him get off.
He tried.
That not show that he's actually addicted. I mean, I'm just saying that if he's so ironclad on proof, this should be proof of the middle ground, really and truly. Like
absolutely, you're absolutely right.
If you don't want to say addiction, if you don't want, that's fine. If you don't want to believe in addiction, that's
100%.
fine. But at least have the.
If you don't want to believe in your addiction, you're just wrong. But
I think
freedom of speech and stuff.
We all would be addicts if, let's say, we took heroin enough times for a long enough period. We'd all be addicts.
Right.
It just takes a special kind of person to, not even a special kind of person. There's a lot of people who just resist that urge to just not do it. And again,
well, that's why I've never tried hard drugs before, because I know that I'm very, very sensitive to addiction. Like I'm very, and thankfully not as much to substances. But
now you're making his point for him.
You're smart.
You're making his point for him.
Yeah, but I'm agreeing that, because I know that if I don't, it's basically the same as what Matthew Perry was saying. Like I have control over the first one.
Yeah.
After that, I have control over not doing it for the first time, because I know that once I've done it for the first time, I cannot guarantee that it'll stay at just once. Like I don't trust my own executive functions well enough for it. Doesn't mean that I'm weak or that I'm failing. I think it's pretty strong of me actually to just know myself, be honest about it. Just like Matthew Perry was being, like he was just being honest. Like I can't stop once I take the first one. That's just knowing yourself, being honest, being upfront, not lying about, no, I can definitely stop, and knowing yourself well enough to say, well, in that case, I'm just not going to take the first
Go on,
one.
Given.
You know what it's like? It's like, sorry to do this again, but
you're fine.
It's like the devil's slit experiments.
No.
Please don't do that. Please
don't
do
that.
Go ahead.
Split no, it's basically like it's just for context. Like, just remember when those two people, Adam and Eve, had that fruit, and then they incurred repercussions that they could never recover from. It's kind of like that. Once you take that fruit, there's no going back.
Metaphorically, as an analogy,
there you go. Yes. Exactly.
Well,
all right, I'll take it.
You have more common sense than this guy who thinks it's comparable to cancer. But
at least it's more common sense than this guy who think that, because if his logic is actually true, that means that everyone who is addicted consciously, knowingly, willingly chooses to be addicted and wants to be addicted. That's
says it's not
bullshit.
Comparable to cancer.
Yeah.
That's his point. Not as comparable.
No, but like he compared them, and the result of the comparison was they're not comparable.
Yeah.
Ladybug says he's saying the same thing he did the first time. Yes.
Yeah, so it's 100%. Been 9 years, and this guy learned nothing.
No. I think
he actually hasn't. Yeah, like you're meant to challenge. I know exactly what you're gonna say, but you're meant to challenge your ideas, though. You are supposed to
100%. Yeah, you meant to challenge, but maybe he has, and that's how he landed on that specific point of view, is because he used to be in the other camp, and he said, maybe I could use another way of thinking, and then he fell into the thought process of, if it is a choice, then I could always defeat it. So in his mind, things are choices, so he always has free will to allow himself the power, or the feeling of he has the power over himself. Again, this is one thing
but he's projecting it onto the world.
It's like a placebo effect. It's like a placebo effect for himself.
I think that is my main issue. Like, if that's what he wants to think for himself, like for his own life, go ahead. Like, don't let me stop you. But he is making policy suggestions. He was talking about criminalizing and about punishing and about basically the war on drugs thing, which has done nothing.
That's far out.
I can't understand how anyone can look at like half a century of the war on drugs and go like, oh yes, this is a good idea.
Some people look at evidence and they just disregard it. I mean, we were talking about this backstage.
I believe it was
about humans and computers, about how humans.
Oh yeah, about making the same mistake.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, it was Albert Einstein said something along the lines of, insanity is trying the same things over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah. They saw what happens with prohibition. They know what's going to happen with the war on drugs, but for some weird reason, there's an infrastructure there that
there's a cognitive dissonance, because they want they want to be able to speak like I can't at this moment, but they want retribution. They want retributive punishment. I notice that a lot of these people are just in a mindset of punishment and not in a mindset of, okay, what's actually going to help make these people better. And these people are usually super adverse to the mere notion of displaying any measure of empathy to people who've committed a crime. Like, as soon as I bring up something like, well, it's not like it not as a justification, but just like understanding where someone comes from. If someone is like in deep dark shit and they're desperate, and then they rob a store because they have no food, that doesn't mean that I'm suddenly like, yes, you should go rob a store. That's good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I understand where they're coming from. And then they're like, they're criminals, and you're sympathizing with them. I'm like, yeah, they're human.
I know exactly your stance now on what's happening right now in the conflict we don't speak about.
We're not going to talk about that one, but I'm going
to. I know, but I'm just saying, from her response there, I feel like she's been in a couple of arguments because of that.
I think you're actually going to be wrong, but I'm curious to hear about that after the show, like backstage. I'm curious to hear what you think, because I think you're going to be wrong.
Really? Oh, so is it opposite of what you just said then?
No, it's not opposite, because I think the issue in that situation is that people think there are two sides, but there are three sides. So, but we'll get into that backstage afterwards.
What thickens? He's frozen. He's actually
okay. So I'm gonna read the chat. So I'm gonna
That was so good. Like, it was like an action shot. Like,
so I'm gonna read the chat because Havy posted
that was so good.
such a heartfelt comment. Thank you so much. So glad. She says, so glad to have found Hidgens. Please cover more topics. You're awesome. Yes, we are going to cover more topics. This isn't the we just taking this back up. I mean, if you missed the first part of the show, we stopped this because I had to do the docuseries now that is almost done and ready for publishing, all of it.
Oh wait, didn't you interview me for that?
Yeah.
Or is it a different one?
Yeah. You were in part 1 and you're back in part 3. So like now that it's all done and it's all wrapped up, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. The next in the next month, I believe. Next month, we're talking about Russell Brand and the whole shebang that's gone on there, especially now that there's a lot more information to play with. Because I hate doing
is he
this.
finished?
No. There is more. So
No, but give me a teaser. Is he finished? Like, is he going down?
No, it's not. It's not. I don't think he is, but he has been demonetized everywhere. I'm gonna quickly go back to
even
Rumble. I'm gonna read this comment because it's really important to this. Many people get addicted with prescribed painkillers. That happened to Johnny Depp. This is actually very true. And I interviewed an drugs and alcohol nurse about this because this is how Matthew Perry also got into his addiction. Was it Vicodin?
I was just typing that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I believe it was Vicodin. It was at least Vicodin at a later point. I don't know if it was Vicodin right away.
Again.
And this is why I don't take painkillers.
This destroys his point about choice. How do you choose?
He chose to take Vicodin,
but that's painkiller.
He chose it.
That's a painkiller.
Yeah, but why is it the opiates that make people addicted, and not if they choose to take, I don't know, paracetamol?
Yeah.
Clearly, it's not just choice.
It's not choice. Like he could have really needed it for something. Like in Johnny Depp's case.
It was Vicodin. I just checked. Yeah, it was Vicodin, and
why did you not take ibuprofen?
No. But
I'm allergic to ibuprofen.
And I said, why did you not take ibuprofen?
In Johnny Depp's case, he took forgot what it's called now. Forgot. Anyway, pain medication. I think it was oxycodone.
Yeah.
I think it was
oxycodone. For Roxycontin.
Yeah, for dentists.
Something for his. There was something that went wrong with his dentistry.
Yeah.
2 seconds. You notice in America that whenever people need painkillers, they go for the ones that like are addictive for some weird reason.
But codeine is the same thing. Like I can't wait.
They actually took codeine off the market here. Yeah, you can't get codeine here in the Netherlands anymore.
Like over here, you can get codeine here, but it has to get prescribed if you have already been. If the other painkillers. I remember going to the dentist. Not so long ago. It was really bad, but it's calmed down now a lot. But basically,
codeine is ace though.
Huh?
Codeine is aces though. It works really well.
It does, but the only way I could get prescribed is if it was really proven that the ibuprofen that they were prescribing wasn't working. And that's the thing, because a lot of these rappers and all these, they sing about that. They actually sing about getting high on codeine and stuff, all these things. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, again, where is the choice in that? Because these are things that you would actually need. Some of them even take it to sleep.
It's not just that though. I think the most one of the most definitive arguments against the whole choice idea is that you have to compare alternatives and then apply your rhetoric onto it to see if it still fits. Because as I said earlier, if what he's saying is true, then the war on drugs would have worked and Portugal's approach would not have worked. So clearly that is not the case. It's not just not the case, it's the exact reverse. So then you have to ask that guy, like, why did it work in Portugal? Why did it not work in the US? And then also, there's been a massive opioid crisis in the US. And if it's just like you see a massive rise in opioid addiction, But if this person is saying that addiction is just a matter of choice and willpower, has there been a massive decline in people's willpower? Like how else can you explain the change? Because you think that people on average, like the population has an average amount of willpower that just kind of sort of stays stable, maybe? Like on average, so why is there a sudden spike? What changed?
Right.
It's not willpower. It doesn't work that way. It has never worked. There's no evidence of approaching it that way working. There's no evidence. I can't deal with these people.
Know what's happening in places like Philadelphia and San Francisco in America? Like with the fentanyl crisis, is it legal or is it decriminalized? I'm so confused. It's decriminalized or what's happening?
I think in California, a lot of the drugs are now legalized.
Because you see these people in San Francisco, especially, they're like zombies. They're like all on like fentanyl. They're all pooping themselves. They look like zombies. It literally looks like a scene out of like a TV show, like
holy crap on cracker.
Like, what's happening?
That's why
it's 80. Fentanyl's 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine. Holy
crap.
What?
Kill you.
Fentanyl is 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine.
A whiff of it can kill you. Like literally.
Why does this exist?
Because
rhetorical questions.
Because cancer treatments. That's what I'm guessing.
And
I mean, the pain that you go through just getting.
It's added to heroin to increase its potency.
Yeah,
that's
fun.
For the super saiyans on heroin, the super heroin saiyans, them ones there, the ones who've attained the highest level of heroin addiction, they can no longer get the same highs of normal heroin, like normal heroin or the highest potency heroin. So they need that little extra spice, and that's fentanyl. For the average person, they would probably die. But for the experienced drug user, they would be fine.
Yeah, your system does get your system does get accustomed to it, but that's also why you cannot just choose to stop, because that means you'll die. Like you'll just up and stop living.
But that's the thing. So in San Francisco, like I wonder what's happening. Like, because there's so many people. Like again, in Portugal, you said it's not as insane as the way in America people are on drugs. But again,
it's even better. Like if you look at the difference
by the cost of living.
That obviously has an influence, but it's not enough to it's not enough to explain. Let me find the word.
No, including like the what do you call it?
In Portugal,
non-free healthcare.
The drug-induced death rate in Portugal has plummeted to 5 times lower than the EU average.
Nice.
So even in the EU, because obviously if you're going to compare it to the United States, then the death rate can differ because of healthcare differences. But in the EU, the average is still 5 times lower than the rest of the EU. Its rate of HIV infection has dropped from 104 new cases per million in 2000 to 4.2 cases per million in 2015. So in 15 years, it went from 104 to 4. That's insane. And the only thing they did was stop criminalizing.
Yeah.
And obviously, like startup programs to get people care and basically care about people instead of punishing them, because it does not work. It'll make people feel worse. And if they feel worse, they just want to get more drugs because they feel bad.
Well, I mean, yeah.
They feel stressed. They feel alone. They feel isolated. They feel detached. They get put in prison where they feel even worse. Like prison is usually not necessarily a fun place. So the need to do drugs only gets bigger.
To be quite fair,
it's the worst thing you can do.
To be quite fair, and also people are just naturally rule breakers anyway. So it was never. I mean, I'm making your argument here as well. But I'm adding to your argument here because people, when you have a rule, I mean, you're gonna break it a couple of times, and then it then comes down to your personal convictions on how much of a rebel you want to be, in my opinion. But I'm just quickly gonna go back into this video and see.
Let's not run too much longer.
Yeah, we're gonna close off after this one because I want to hear what, if he has made any changes. I hope he has. I hope there's some kind of
my trust in him actually having changed his perspective to be less of a retributive punishment asshole has become like Sub-Zero at this point.
I have hope. I have hope.
I have negative hope.
Irresistible force. They're not going to stop. You mentioned.
Me too. Right,
gladly give up if they're able to do. And I also think it doesn't help the people who are taking those drugs. If they're told you're in the grip of an irresistible force, they're not going to stop. You mentioned nicotine. I agree with you. It's an incredibly compulsive habit, and those who take up smoking cigarettes are find it very, very hard to give up. But in my generation, I have found huge numbers of people doing so. So
well, I'm one of them.
If there is,
I'm one of them, which is why I say it. I mean,
there's a thing called addiction.
That is anecdotal.
And it doesn't mean what most people mean when they use it. This is the problem with it. It is, as I say, it's a moral and a philosophical problem, which people get very angry about for that reason. You're taking sides.
Yes, I'm angry.
Do we have over what we do? It's really what it's about.
Thank you for noticing.
What freedom do we have to decide whether to be good or bad, to do wrong or do right? I say an immense amount of choice.
And interesting.
Other people say less, and that is the huge difference.
Well, I thought what was interesting was what Jeremy Paxman actually interjected in. I know that's probably just
it's not a moral question either.
Inside conversation, but when he said to Matthew Perry, "Well, surely you are practicing willpower right now by not having a drink, because otherwise you'd be drinking all the time."
Well, there is an answer to this. The pro-addiction bill says
Pause 2 seconds.
What he has done is he's overcome the.
Interestingly, in 2018, they did a study, and about 55% of adults they found are able to attempt to quit smoking approximately in a year, but only 8% are able to be successful for about 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I think this guy has just a serious problem with anecdotal evidence, because he's basically saying is, I've seen people do it, so the people who are not doing it are just failing. And I'm like, that's like saying, to get back to his cancer argument, it's like saying, I've seen people who had cancer who got cured, so the people who didn't get cured just failed. They just didn't try hard enough or something.
No,
it doesn't matter. Like, some people will be able to do it, other people will not be able to do it. That doesn't mean that those people failed. It means that their circumstances are just different. He's assuming that everyone has the same opportunities,
in my opinion,
and the same circumstances.
And then
it's just fallacious.
In my opinion, his argument really only works if you're like a kleptomaniac or someone like
it only works if you're living in fantasy land.
I mean, I'm trying to give him credit here, so please give me credit.
Yeah, I should be a bit more charitable. You're right. This guy just drives me up the fucking wall.
But that's the only. Maybe I'm also ignorant to kleptomania. It's not good to steal. Like, so the punishment fits the crime because you're supposed to protect the interests of others, and hopefully him getting punished for stealing things would create that empathy that would override his addiction.
Yeah, but it does not. It objectively, that is just the opposite of what will work. Because you know what happens when you punish someone? They get resentful.
No. I'm saying
punishing people, like whenever you got punished by your parents, did you get more empathy for them or did you hate them for it?
No. If the
point was
if the punishment was unjust, if you understood the rules before you were punished and you knew the consequences before you were punished, when you get punished, you understand why you got punished. It's not like
you understand why you get punished, but it's not like you're going to be more empathetic towards the person who punished you.
No. I didn't say
because that's not what punishment achieves.
No.
What you need to do is talk. You know what the best thing is to deter it is actually talk to the people you've hurt.
100%. But
that's what I was about to say. Yeah.
In the moment.
Yeah, exactly. That was the point you're leading up to.
But in hindsight, after many years.
Hindsight.
Yes, in hindsight, after many
years.
Hindsight. Whatever, Mr. Hines, Dr. Hines. In hindsight, you.
That's it. I'm leaving.
Appreciate it.
And I hate puns too.
But that is a different kind of situation altogether, because it takes a lot of time. It's not like the moment you get punished, you're like, oh, actually, I've hurt these people, and that's because the punishment doesn't show you how much you've hurt them.
Yeah, but that's why I brought in the kleptomaniac example. His example.
I think it doesn't even work for kleptomania either, because when we're talking about kleptomania, we're talking about a compulsion, and compulsion does not listen to punishment.
True.
Because compulsion is basically just addiction.
Yes, but there are still subtle differences. There are still subtle differences.
There's definitely differences. Like in case of kleptomania, there's not a chemical physical dependency, for example,
right.
But it's still a sort of
It's a
addiction to
behavioral-
stealing.
It's
Yes,
a behavioral ingrained trait.
that's why his argument only works in that realm, because his remedy will fix that, because it's a
It doesn't, because if you're
you
a
have to
kleptomaniac,
willpower
then
it.
the only thing that punishment achieves is that they're going to try to be better at hiding it.
Yeah, but the
Because
more you get,
I have a good analogy for this as well. Like, say you're a child and you are home alone and you accidentally break your mother's favorite vase
Right.
or something. Is it in American? Is it vase or vase? Whatever. Just say vase. And then and you also have a dog. I don't know. And then your mother comes home and she sees a broken vase, and then she's like, "Who did that?" And then if you say, "I did that," and you're just honest and open and upfront about it, what you'd want your kid to be, and then your mother punishes you, you get a negative feedback, not for the breaking of the vase, but for telling your mother that you broke the vase. Because if you tell that the dog did it, you still broke the vase, but now there's no negative consequences. The negative consequences are connected to you telling your mother. Because now the next time that you break the vase, you're not going to want to tell her, because then you get punishment again, which is fun. But on the other hand, if your mother is just like, thank you, it's just like, thank you for being honest with me. I'm really disappointed because I really love that vase. It was very special to me. And like, she just tells you how much it meant to
feel
her.
that shame and that burden of
that's what I'm saying.
And then the next time, you're going to try harder not to do it, because otherwise kids are just going to be incentivized to hide it better. And I think another mistake that this guy made is we have free will and our own choice to be good or bad people. And I'm but doing drugs isn't a moral bad.
Yeah.
Like, doing drugs doesn't mean you're a moral bad person. I think that is the crux of a lot of his thing, because he sees drugs as a moral.
So our free will, from what I've got,
immoral.
Yeah.
Like, he sees doing drugs as something immoral, like something bad, like a bad person, which also comes in with why he wants to punish it, because you punish bad people. Like, that's a general tendency. Like he doesn't see that as good people doing something harmful to themselves.
I'm just gonna say, hot take here, but if my child ever owns up to doing something wrong, I would actually reward him or her. I actually would.
Exactly. Because then the next time they're going to be more likely to be honest.
That's not even a hot take.
No, because
it is unfortunately a hot take for some people.
People actually think that if you were to reward your child for doing something like that, they're gonna break more and more things easily, or offend easier, because they know they'll get something from it. And
which is not borne out by the evidence.
But some kids might even do that. You never know.
No,
we do know, and it doesn't happen.
I haven't seen anything.
I'm saying come on, let's be realistic. There's a small percentage who will probably do that.
Yeah.
Okay, congrats. There are exceptions.
Yeah,
do you want a cookie?
Yeah.
Like,
no, but imagine you do it and then your kid now becomes the exception.
No, but neither of us claimed that this would solve 50% of the instances. So what did your argument just change? Like, yeah, there are exceptions.
No.
Okay, we never denied that there were exceptions, so it's moot. Anyway, I completely agree with Heinz here. Like, if you reward them for the honesty and for saying it, then the next time they're going to be more likely to be honest with you. You're not rewarding them for breaking the vase.
I think it's not even just about rewarding. You don't have to reward. You just have to be understanding of the situation, not necessarily reward them.
Why do you not want to reward them? What's against rewarding?
What the hell?
Let me just play this.
Because
what's the point of rewarding? Rewarding is to encourage good behavior.
No, because you obviously you can encourage it by accepting, by not being mad at it, but understanding it.
How is it encouraging that someone did not get mad?
No, it's not about no. It's
about, if I do something and people are not mad, then I don't feel encouraged.
No, listen,
it's just neutral.
It's about teaching the kid consequences in real life. Real life will not treat you the way your parents treat you. That's facts. How we treat you in this house is not how they're going to treat you out there when you make a mistake. So you can be calm.
Yeah, but this is not about how you're treating for being a mistake. This is about how you're being treated for being honest. And being honest should be rewarded.
Yes, but if you make a mistake, you still have to adhere. You still have to get consequences because that's what happens in the real world.
Yeah, but the consequence can also be like your mother expressing that she's really disappointed and that she really loved that vase and that she's kind of sad because you love your mother. I hope.
But then again, but personally, this is just my personal take.
But you can do both. Like you can reward the honesty.
Yes, but then
and
punish
still
the bad act.
I'm not a big fan of punishment at all. I don't think punishment works in like a lot of cases.
If it was actually
No, but there's a difference between consequences and punishment.
No. I'm saying if it was actually like a bad thing.
For much longer.
No, if it was actually a bad thing that happened, like in terms of breaking a vase, that's like an inanimate object.
It's hard for me to breathe.
But in terms of like if you did something like you stole, then I'm saying though in those type of situations you need some type of repercussion. But if someone broke an inanimate object, you're fine.
I'm fine with like just paying back, like just getting even, but I don't believe in punishment. I wrote a blog post about it.
You guys are horrible. You guys, hey, you guys are horrible, man. You guys actually made me hold my breath for that long. Like seriously, I was holding my breath for that long. You guys continue talking. Like, come on, where's your empathy?
Well, you were actually frozen, so I couldn't see you were holding your breath.
Come on. Anyway, let me just whenever you hear this sound, it means it's coming to the end of the show. But I just want to quickly finish off this one.
We have a musical cue.
I'm just quickly gonna finish off here, and then we'll read the chat and close off, because this has been a really good discussion, because I didn't think we would explore. Not really. I didn't think kleptomania would be part of the discussion, and I didn't think I would find myself even trying to make sense of what this guy is saying. But here we are.
I didn't even think you'd find yourself agreeing with me.
Yes. Oh yes.
Like that doesn't happen a lot of times. We agreed on pretty much this episode.
6 episodes in, by the way, guys. For all
like there have been episodes where it was me and Given against you. Where Given and I were just like, no, Heinz, wait, listen, bro, no. And now we're like against Given, like, bro, no.
I'm on the same page as you guys.
No, you're not.
No, you're actually
how am I not on the same page as you guys?
Have you been paying attention for the past 1 hour and 45 minutes?
No, I'm just talking.
No, you haven't. I know.
There was
no, but I mean the whole thing about punishment, like
that point is it's very nuanced, because I have to really explain that. It would take time, so I understand.
Yeah, let's just move on. Like we've been going out for long enough.
Let me just say this. Largely, we agree on the fact that you reward honesty.
Right. I agree with that.
Excellent.
I just want to say there is one.
I agree.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to plug one episode that we did agree on, and that was the Andrew Tate one. Where we were talking about false accusations and how society is handling it. That was the only one episode.
A while ago.
Yeah, that was the only one episode where Given was frozen, like he was literally stunned that we were making football jokes on Mason Greenwood. And he's like, "Oh yeah, but he can score." Anyway,
I don't even remember.
Let me, Lord, I have my memory.
It's been a while.
But yeah, let me just play this, and then we're gonna end it up here.
Having a drink, because otherwise you'd be drinking all the time.
Well, there is an answer to this. The pro-addiction people say, well, yes, what he has done is he's overcome the effect of the addiction, but he is still, in fact, addicted.
Yes.
Which is, again, it's a rather philosophical point, but it is what they say.
Right.
But sure, and that is where it goes. That is why the use that people make most of the time in conversation, and a lot of the time, as I say, when people are dealing with cases in court, or when doctors are dealing with people who are habitual users of drugs, is to use it as an overpowering force. And in the article in First Things, I quote some interesting people, including Russell Brand, on this overpowering force argument.
Yes.
And the point about it is you cannot say that. and then accept that people can stop doing it. And it just doesn't work. And I'm surprised that more people don't resist it.
I used to
it doesn't help that it doesn't help the drug taker.
No.
It doesn't help the smoker, in my view.
No, I mean, I gave up smoking.
It also doesn't help this guy to quote Russell Brand, by the way.
No. It's not even about quoting Russell Brand because I know the quote he's talking about in regards to Russell Brand, but he's misrepresenting it a lot. He's misrepresenting it a lot.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't want people. He doesn't want people to accept defeat. Pretty much. I think that's
that's
what
he's
getting
at. But there's a difference. Like Matthew Perry wasn't advocating for accepting defeat.
I know, but I'm just saying that's how.
Yeah, but he's misunderstanding what Matthew Perry was saying, because Matthew Perry was saying, like, it's not just me and my willpower. There's also something else that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
And funny enough, Russell Brand said the same thing. But
my God, I agree with something with Russell Brand. I'm gonna quit my subscription to Life.
You don't agree with a lot of what Russell Brand says? What?
I mean, no.
We have our entire next episode to get into that.
No, I will put it out here. I don't
know.
No,
it's not that I disagree on a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of things that I kind of do agree on, but he's also like a bit of a conspiracy nut. So.
But you like Big Pharma? What?
Anyway,
there are multiple ways to be against Big Pharma.
Anyway, thank you so
not
much.
all
Thank you
include
so much.
conspiracies.
I'm going to bring this to a close. We'll talk about Big Pharma in the next episode or not, if I'm being honest.
We have something to talk about after this. Honestly, we have something to talk about after this. There's a show. There's about a show, but anyway.
Yeah. Right. But thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. I just want to say thank you, Meryl. Thank you, for giving me your time once again.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I loved how you guys put me at ease today. I really do, because I was really nervous doing this episode.
Don't be.
I can't wait to release the full interview with the drugs and alcohol nurse that I done in regards to the Johnny Depp case, because he really broke down the psychology of addiction. He's worked with all of these people for like 10, 15 years. And he's he's hands-on. So he broke down their thought process, why they do the things they do, and the failings of the system, and how there's not enough funding here. So he's talking about here. I don't know how it is like in Holland or Portugal, but over here,
the Netherlands. We're called the Netherlands.
We call you Holland. Get used.
But you call us wrong. Holland is only 2 of the 12 provinces.
I don't know. I don't know these things. I know you
don't know.
You have that's why I'm telling you. The other nether regions.
Okay.
It was right there. I had to take it. I
can't believe you.
Oh, no, I can't breathe.
Oh, boo! Oh.
No, that was very good. That was very good.
Come on, man. No, that was cringe.
that was fantastic. Like, you have the Netherlands' approval.
Right.
I will now formally introduce myself as Merel of the Nether Regions. Yes, that was excellent. Very good, very good.
Oh no.
That did actually redeem you a bit, yeah.
But yeah.
No, but like there's lack of funding everywhere.
Yeah.
Just everywhere. Just even here, even though I'd say we're doing reasonably well in comparison to a lot of other countries. Looking at you, United States. But still, we can do a lot better. And I think more people should actually look into the situation with Portugal. And if you hear people say like, yeah, but numbers have gone up again recently, so apparently it's not working that well, then please whack them over the head a bit and say that's because they're defunding those programs. And then like some of those programs have been cut by like 80% funding or something. And then the problem came back and people are just like, it barely doesn't work. And I'm like, well,
but
it's like if you're trying to put out a fire by like the, what's it called, spraying water, like
That was part of the premise in Joker, if you guys remember. The defunding of those type of programs that help
exactly
people.
That's a perfect case, and I mean, we shouldn't be equating like mental illness with crime, of course, because people with mental illness are 10 times more likely to be the victims of crime than to be perpetrators of it, compared to people without mental illness. It's a fact. But at the same time, if these people don't get help, then they can destabilize and people can turn into, because the thing is, it's not the mental illness that's causing them to be a criminal, it's untreated specific mental illnesses and specific things, because the defunding also turned him against the country that he was living in. It turned him against the system. It turned him against his fellow humans, because he felt like there was no one looking out for him, like nobody cared. And he even says that in a lot of places, like towards the end of the movie, like nobody cares, and so why should he care about them if nobody cares about him? And that's how you can get crime, because if people don't care about someone else, you feel less conscientious about, like, you have less conscience. Yeah, because you don't care about that person. I'm not going to steal from my own mother because I love her, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you love
unless,
your, if you
unless
love
you're a
people,
kleptomaniac, unless you're a kleptomaniac.
unless you're a kleptomaniac.
Anywho,
yeah, exactly. But no, it's an excellent case. So yeah, just look at those examples. Just know that an empathetic approach is in almost all cases always going to be a better way forward than retributive punishment and putting people off as like they're bad people, so they deserve punishment. It never works. As soon as you start treating people with empathy, even if they've done bad things, treat them with empathy, treat them like humans. You don't have to justify or forgive the bad things that they've done. If there's a murderer, for example, and they really show up to become a better person, you don't have to be like, oh, it's all right that you've murdered someone. Like, that's fine. You don't have to do that. You can be like, what you did is absolutely terrible. And now we're going to help you make a better life where you're not doing that. That works. People want connection. People want community. People don't want to be like thrown out as garbage.
I just want to read this out and just say,
That's my mission statement.
Salut nom de plume, bonjour. You can catch up on the show as well. You know, this is going to be listed, so you can rewatch it. We also have a clips channel as well, so you can I'll link all that up on my Twitter and my website, drheinz.info, where you can go and watch the clips and rewatch this episode. Because any last words, Meryl? Anything that you've always wanted to say but couldn't say on this episode?
Well, I think I just had a pretty resume statement, like at the end there. I think that was basically me catching up on everything that I wanted to say, and I'll always call for a more empathetic approach to everything, even if people have done bad things, because you can be empathetic towards the person while still disapproving of their actions. But a lot of mistakes that people make are disapproving of the person because of their actions, and that doesn't work. Because then the door to redemption is closed. If you disapprove of their actions, but don't disapprove of the person, then the person feels like they can make a difference if they don't do those bad actions. But if you disapprove of them as a person, they're just like, well, yeah, what's the point?
Right. Thank you for that. And Mr. Given, anything you've always wanted to say but couldn't say on this episode, you can say it now.
So the double slit experiment.
I knew it.
I said you couldn't. You always wanted to say, but you couldn't say it. You said it already. We know
but I was going to expand on it.
I knew it.
No, I was just going to say that essentially, when it comes to addiction, it is a very tough topic. The literature is out there to read and for you to understand. But I'd also suggest that I would also suggest that you can also take something from him, which you don't have to obviously necessarily take, but you can take it and give yourself the best possible advantage and placebo yourself into thinking that you could overcome things. And if you do that,
it does work in some cases.
You might put yourself in a better position when you do encounter things that might be detrimental to you, if you have a mindset of, I could overcome this. If you don't, and you accept that, if I fall into addiction, it is what it is, and I'll spiral and I accept it, then you might not have such a a good time.
Yeah,
But
I want to put a tiny side note into it, because it should not be done in such a way that if you say I can overcome this and you're not succeeding at it, that you just start beating yourself up over it. Don't do that. Like, you can still accept that you have shortcomings while also believing that you can eventually overcome those shortcomings. Like, don't beat yourself up over it if you're not succeeding at first,
as long as you
because
keep
you're
trying.
human.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate all of you guys for those opinions. And I appreciate everyone. Yes. Oh, sorry, not opinions, facts. Facts. Because some people only spit facts. I don't know what that means, but we'll just roll with it. Thank you everyone for joining. I don't have anything other than there is no, we may not, this topic is very complicated. There most likely is never going to be a solution that I could say there is a solution. I don't, but I do enjoy, but I, but I do enjoy the fact that we um I I do I do like the fact, that 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 we get to have these conversations and bend our minds a little, because in all fairness, I think a lot more people need to be open-minded, because some people are closed-minded to some things, and then they're not open-minded to another thing. They have one way of seeing things, like this guy that we saw in this episode. His mind is just one way or the other, but doesn't have to be. Does not have to be. Does not have to be. Hindsight is 2020. We need to start using it. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. But anyway, tune in on the next episode. We're going to be live again. Most likely at the end of this month, if not early next month. I will tweet out the date or put it in the community tab so that you guys can can tune in and join in the discussion. We're going to be discussing Russell Brand, and now that there's a lot more information coming out about him, we're going to talk about the media's role with him, the discourse around a lot of the topics that he talks about, and also the discourse around the allegations that he's faced as well. So it's going to be a unique episode. I'm looking forward to doing it. Thank you so much, Meryl and Given, for being part of this. But yeah, what's going to say? Yeah. Oh yeah, the links are going to be in the description for the website so that you can catch up for the Clips channel as well. And yeah, I'm just going to end it there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and take care of yourself. Bye. 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 Bye.